The Government Communications and Information System is in partnership with Agape Youth Movement is hosting a webinar on the role of youth in the fight against COVID-19. The webinar provides a platform for young people to share how they've contributed to mitigating the spread of COVID-19. Let's listen in.
Look at the vaccinations and therapeutics and the development thereof. I think it was a big race at the beginning of the pandemic, and there's a lot of talk of manufacturing now. So you have the East African community, the Southern African development community, which have the different programs that are developing of, the local manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. That is to ensure, low cost pharmaceuticals for everybody, and also accessibility to everybody. I think that's important, part. We've seen it with HIV and AIDS. We're at the beginning of the epidemic where not everybody could have access to ARVs. And, it's very important, especially with COVID, that everybody has access to, this vaccination or therapeutics associated with COVID treatment. Now, because it was a mad rush to develop therapeutics and, a vaccine, I mean, we've seen research groups of all over the world, including South Africa. And I think, we give so much attention to what's happening around globally. We need to also look at home at the brilliance that lies, not only, within, since I'm from CSR, not only from CSR, but the universities and other local, businesses, SMMEs. So what are their roles in combating COVID-19? And of the therapeutic and vaccine approaches which were taken, we chose to go the route of antibodies. Now, I note that I made mention of vaccines and therapeutics. The difference between a COVID vaccine is that it acts directly upon the virus itself, so the SARS-CoV-2 virus. A therapeutic works on the symptoms of COVID. Now, we've seen that it's been highly variable. I mean, Jason mentioned that you'd have patients which show no symptoms to those who full on pneumonia associated with COVID-19. So the CSR has chose the option to develop production processes for antibodies which target the virus itself, as well as symptoms associated with COVID. Now, there's a lot of talk now, as I'm sure everybody has seen in the news, that the likes of Aspen and other companies which are looking to develop local manufacturing. And the CSR has a plant-based manufacturing process. Now, plant as an actual plant, not as a manufacturing plant. And how this whole platform is known as biofarming. It should not be confused with bioprospecting. So bioprospecting is where you look at indigenous plants for medical compounds, whereas biofarming is where the plant itself is used as a manufacturing host. So our manufacturing process involves the use of a tobacco plant. Now, I know it's quite amusing that one would use a tobacco plant for the manufacturing of protein-based therapeutics, especially antibodies. Now, this shouldn't be confused with the tobacco plant that's used for cigarettes. This is an Australian variant. It has a lower nicotine content. I know it's always quite amusing when I mention this to people and try to explain this technology to people. Now, there's other groups around the world which has used carrot cells and lettuce cells. Now, you can imagine in the future where there was this whole concept of an edible vaccine, where you go to a doctor, instead of giving a container of pills, gives you a salad to have, and you're vaccinated. It'll be quite amusing and confusing to somebody who doesn't know what's happening. So we use this tobacco plant to produce this vaccine, and everybody knows with COVID, everybody gets it. But I think that the easiest example to use is everybody. When you have humans are infected, they get infected by bacteria, they show certain symptoms. So like that with plants, when plants get infected, they also show symptoms. Now, there's actually a bacteria, a soil bacteria, that actually causes cancer in plants. I know not everybody may be aware that, plants can get so to say a form of cancer. And what we've done is, and there's a number of groups which has utilized this technology, is that we've taken a part, it's sort of like a circular part of its DNA, and removed the DNA that's responsible for, producing these toxins that cause this cancer, and we've replaced it with, the genes that are, that encode for our therapeutics. So when we infect these plants with these, this bacteria, instead of producing these toxins, it actually produces this vaccine. Now, it's a brilliant way of taking sort of something that's negative and turning it around. And we've in our labs, we've demonstrated with HIV and AIDS. I mean, though COVID is a really big thing right now, we really do need to get a grip of it. We can't forget that there's HIV and AIDS, and our group has brilliantly worked in producing antibodies also against HIV and AIDS. And this technology seems out there to somebody who's not familiar with it. But I know just for some impact, I always love mentioning this, is that the initial dosages for the Ebola outbreak we had a few years ago was actually made using this process. So it is a system that is applied, it is out there, it is being used. So just to give some background as to how the system works and how we get from infecting the plant to produce this therapeutic. I know we leave it for a period of 7 days to, so to say, allow for the production of this therapeutic. And those who are very health conscious, familiar, if you're going to make your kale smoothie or spinach smoothie, you blend it, and it's a similar process of which we go to extract this vaccine. Of course, at a larger scale, we're not all sitting with blenders and smoothie makers, and just you would think that there's this green slurry, and how do we get the vaccine or therapeutic separated from this? It's a simple example is that we use a process of chromatography. So if the therapeutic has a positive charge, then we'll use something of a resin that has a negative charge and pull it from that. Of course, that will be followed by the necessary quality control and testing whether this thing is efficacious. And everybody gets a bit frustrated with the the development of pharmaceuticals. And as soon as COVID was around, everybody was, okay, when is the vaccine coming? When is this? And it is a lengthy process. You have to test these vaccines to make sure that it's safe. And there's still a lot of concerns around. I know people are concerned whether these vaccines are safe and whether they should go for it. If it was for me, I speak on a personal level. I'm definitely, as soon as the opportunity arises, I'll go for the vaccine, because there is these phases to sort of filter out, are there any issues with these vaccines? Like with everything, people may react differently, or we're all not all the same, and that's we all different based on our DNA and how we react to certain things. But the vaccine is deemed safe based on the test which was done. But going back to the system, we see that there's a push for local manufacturing within South Africa, and as of late we've seen a boom in a number of biotech sectors and small companies. We always see that the big names in pharmaceutical companies, and it's all about Youth Month, and we want youth to be encouraged to if there's an idea you have, go through it. It doesn't have to be such a high tech idea of developing a vaccine or something. It's just something simple that you can do within your community to make a difference. And the previous speaker made mention of that somebody said we want jobs. I was also at that. Being in the science field, it's very nerve-wracking. As soon as you finish with university, it's like, where am I going to get a job? Do I need so many years of experience and stuff? And there is opportunities there. Like the previous, if you want something, you have to work for it. That is a given. But if I speak from from a science perspective and opportunities within the science field, like CSR offers a number of opportunities for people, whether it's through your bursaries to study at university, or come for vacation work, or shadowing one of our scientists. There's opportunities. You can reach out through our web pages, or after this we can get we can give contact details for our HCD office. which can help, science and the youth, develop and make a difference. COVID is only the beginning. It is a challenge now, but what do we do moving forward? Whether there's future pandemics and we look at, COVID-19, what about, our community, the cancers, how can we make a difference in those, avenues? And, the sciences is not always the first option when it comes to choosing a career, but it is an important avenue, and we need scientists of the future. I mean, we'll only be around for, so often. Who's going to take, the mantle forward? Who's going to make the change in the future? And I'd like to leave my talk there. And thank you very much to everybody for allowing me this opportunity to share my work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. I think what a good takeaway from that is that we need more scientists, meaning that the youth needs to go and study science.
Definitely.
And I hope that you're available for mentorship and guidance, Dr. Singh.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
They should also study social science.
Let's just all go to school, okay? Study everything. Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. I again, I'm taking away from you also the importance of...
We're coming out of that webinar to take you to this story now.